Now, from time to time, we all go through a bad phase, but on today's video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of tips to make sure your guitar pickups are not. Welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear, the channel where we try and share quality information to make your guitar playing experience much more pleasant. Today we're going to be talking about your pickup, specifically a couple of ways to make sure everything is in phase and working properly. So if you're a guitar collector like I am, I refuse to use the word hoarder. So if you're a guitar collector like I am and you buy guitars regularly on the used market perhaps, or work on your own guitars, you've probably already realized how important the phase of your guitar pickups is to the sound of your guitar. Nobody wants to play a guitar that's out of phase, unless of course you're trying to get that Peter Green sound, which we don't all necessarily like. Till now, making sure your pickups were in phase was a little bit difficult. You basically had to install the pickups in your guitar, listen to them with your ears, and then if something sounded a little odd, perhaps a tinny sound or an anemic sound when you're in certain positions, that generally indicates that your pickups may be out of phase. There now is a great tool called the phase tester, I believe. It's made by Audio. It's a small device which will allow you to plug your guitar and check the phase of your pickups. And it's so easy and effortless that I think everybody should definitely have one of these. How many times have you purchased a used guitar where you know that the pickups are not necessarily the original pickups and somebody's been in there before you? You don't really know if the person was capable and knew anything about phase issues. Perhaps they just popped in a pickup that they may have had lying around, which was not necessarily compatible with the other pickup that may have already been in the guitar. So you don't want to end up with somebody else's mess. So this very small device is basically a small circuit board which has an input for a jack and a small battery. Allows you to take the mystery out of checking your pickups. And not only am I going to show you how this works, but I'm also going to show you another little trick just to make extra sure everything is installed the way it needs to be. It costs about 30 euros or about 32 US dollars and can be ordered online directly on the Audio website. I'll put the information in the notes below, so in case you want to order one for yourself, you have all the information to do so. Tell them Tony sent you. You can use basically any jack, long, short, whatever you have, and it's as simple as plugging it in to the little device once you have the battery in and plugging the other end into your guitar. I'm going to give you a close-up of the guitar so I can show you exactly how that works. All right, so we have our victim here, which is my Stratocaster with single coil pickups. We're going to test to make sure everything's working properly. So I have the little tester here, and I'm just going to plug in the lead. As you will notice, as we plug in the lead, the little light goes on to make sure we do have power from the battery. We have a short lead cable here. I'm going to plug the other end into the guitar, like so. And all we really need to do is strum the strings, make sure that we're hitting and we're getting a nice clean signal. Make sure your volume is turned all the way up, and then just make sure you take note of where your pickup is so that you can clearly understand which pickup you are testing. In this case, it is the bridge pickup. So I'm going to try and do this with one hand, not the easiest, but all you really have to do is hit a string and watch the light go on. So as you can see here, the negative red light is going on. So that indicates that this pickup is negative. We'll switch over to the middle position, do the same. It doesn't really matter what note you hit, as long as you get a clean signal. So we strum again. Once again, it's negative, so that's what you want to see. And now we're going to put it on the neck pickup here and do the same thing one more time. So once again, it's negative. All of these pickups are testing negative. That's what you want to see in the case of a guitar with 3 single coils. You want to make sure that they're all the same. Now I'm going to show you one extra thing that is kind of an extra bonus tip. You can actually use something like this, which I actually made myself. I took a small glass jar, it could be plastic or glass. I took a magnet and I marked one side of the magnet with an S to indicate south, the other side of the magnet with an N to indicate north. And you can actually double check your pickups, and all you need to do is just place it over the pickup and it'll switch depending on the polarity of the actual magnet. So in this case it's south, in this case it's north, and in this case it's south. So that is what you want to see with single coils. You don't want to see them like 2 south side poles or 2 north side poles. You definitely want to have one of each, and the middle position should be different than the bridge and the neck position. So south, north, south. So now you know that your magnets are facing the right direction, and at the same time the phase of your pickups are all in the proper position. Let's try this with a set of humbuckers. We have the tester already connected to the guitar. We're just gonna switch it over to the bridge position, and I'm gonna pluck a little string here and see if we can get a reading. So we're getting a positive reading. That's the initial light sequence that lights up. It'll sometimes switch over to negative, but it's really the first light that goes on that indicates what the phase is. So it was positive in this particular case. Let's switch over the switch here to the neck pickup and do the same thing. And once again, it's the positive light that goes on. So this guitar is positive, which is great. Now I'll unplug this here. We'll use our little magnet tester to test the actual north and south orientation of the magnets. When you're dealing with humbuckers, you want to test the opposite pickup. So there's 2 little pickups under here to make a humbucker set. When you're testing the polarity of the magnets, you want to test the lower side on one. In other words, you're testing the side with the screws and the side without the screws, okay? So I'm just gonna put it over the magnet, and the side with the screws on the bridge, if you can see it here, says south. The side in the neck without the screws says north. And if we do the opposite, we'll have north here for the side without the screws, and south with the side with the screws. And that's what you want. You want to have opposites. So this guitar is set up properly, both with the magnet polarity and the phase, so it's good to go. So hopefully you realize how valuable something like this can be if you're like me and you love trying out new pickups in your guitars, and maybe, you know, mixing and matching different types of pickups from different manufacturers. They're not all necessarily compatible. You can't just pop in 2 humbuckers and think that automatically they will be in phase and everything will work just dandy. Most of the time they work. Sometimes you get surprises. So it's always good to be able to use one of these devices just to make extra sure that everything is working properly. One thing I would love to see for this device, maybe in future updates, would be some kind of an adapter that we can use to plug into this to be able to test our pickups before we actually install them in our guitars. Right now, this works really well for pickups that are already installed in the guitar, but sometimes we want to make sure that we can identify the polarity or the phase of the pickups before we actually pop them into the guitar. So something like that would definitely be a well-received add-on. So I went ahead and I checked all of my guitars with the little gizmo just for peace of mind, and I'm happy to report that my guitars were set up properly. Always a good thing to be able to double check things just in case. Took a matter of minutes, was easy, and if you guys want to do the same, you want to check out the information on the N Audio website. The information is in the comments section below. It just gives you that added peace of mind. If you're like me and you love this kind of stuff and you geek over this type of information related to guitars and gear, consider subscribing because, yeah, there's going to be more information just like this coming up. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.